Hello everybody and welcome back to another video on Racing Grid with James and Max. I'm James.
I'm Max.
And today we're going to be talking about 5 things to look forward to at the Australian Grand Prix. It's finally race week. So
Could not be more excited.
we're all very excited about the Australian Grand Prix. Lots of questions, lots of talking points, and we thought we'd just look at 5 things to look forward to this weekend, and one of them is going to be DRS zones.
Yes. As we know of Australia, it's one of the most fun tracks on the calendar, I think, when it comes to overtaking. It's got 3 DRS zones, and the great thing about it is you've got that double DRS off the first straight and then into the second one, which is if you can get close enough an overtaking zone, but often we see drivers just about get close enough and then just miss it out slightly. And then you've got that huge back straight where we saw Sainz fly past Max Verstappen last year on the 3rd or 4th lap. Obviously Max had engine issues, but it was still a very cool sight to see.
Yeah, I think that actually happened before. I know Max was suffering.
He was suffering anyway.
Was it his brake?
It was brakes,
I can't remember, but it was, I think before that happened, Sainz was still looking pretty quick anyway. But regardless, there are plenty of overtaking opportunities, plenty of areas to set yourself up for a good overtaking opportunity. And I think that's going to be really, really good. We all love to see overtaking. These ground effect regulations came into play in 2022 to help with overtaking, reduce the dirty air. And I think with all the DRS zones Melbourne's got, and with the cars the way they are, I think we could have an exciting Grand Prix to watch. Hopefully not too many DRS trains.
No.
Hopefully more overtaking. But I definitely think that's something to look forward to.
If those cars can nail the last corner, which they often have trouble with, some cars are better than others, then they'll just have the drag.
Exactly. Traction's going to be key.
Traction will be key.
Yeah, especially off those, especially off the last corner going in onto the main straight. But let's move on to talking point number 2, what we're looking forward to, and that is, will Hamilton have a good race in his first Grand Prix with Ferrari? My answer is yes.
My answer is yes as well, but I think that Leclerc's got more experience in that car and he will probably come out.
So you think Leclerc's going to outperform Hamilton?
Yes.
But you think Hamilton can still put in maybe a top?
He's going to have a good race, absolutely. Yeah, I think he's a 7-time world champion. He knows what he's doing. He can get in any car probably and still get the most out of it, just like someone like Max Verstappen could. So I'm really looking forward to that.
See, I think Hamilton can get a podium in Melbourne. I really do. Hamilton, he is, as you say, 7-time world champion, and if you look at pre-season testing, I think he settled in quite nicely in the Ferrari. I think he set some good lap times in that car. If you remember, on day 2, he was fastest in the morning session. He did a lot of mileage, got a lot of race runs under his belt, and I think he's much more acclimatized to the Ferrari now. And being a 7-time world champion, I really don't think it will take him that long to adapt to a new team like it was a rookie, for example.
No, you're correct.
So I think Hamilton has settled in just fine, and I think he can do a decent job in his first race, and that's why I think he can get a podium. But you think Leclerc could just about outperform him?
I think so.
In his first race, given he's more experienced at Ferrari as well.
Correct, and given he's just a phenomenal driver. He won a couple of races last year, and he just knows how to win races and how to get the most out of the Ferrari.
All right. Well, there's our thoughts on Hamilton, but let's move on to the third thing we're looking forward to seeing, and that is, where are Red Bull?
Red Bull? I
think Red Bull's a massive talking point, because at the end of the day, you've got, if you look at last year, it was a crazy year, wasn't it? It was just bizarre how they started so strongly and ended so poorly. And 2025... what's going to happen?
What are they going to be?
What's going to happen? The pre-season testing, you could argue, okay, maybe there was a tiny bit of sandbagging from Red Bull, but there were many times where that car looked a handful, and both Lawson and Verstappen spun at certain points. I don't think that Red Bull is the friendliest of cars this year. Who knows if it's going to be quick? What do you think?
It's really difficult to say, because as I mentioned in a previous video, if Red Bull had started the season last year how they finished last year, they'd be nowhere. They'd probably be 5th in the Constructors' Championship, and Max Verstappen, I don't think, would have been the Drivers' Champion in 2024. I think that if they start this season off as they ended it, then yeah, I reckon they'll be a midfield team. But I think that what you'll
You
find is,
think Red Bull could be as bad as a midfield team this year?
I think if
Yeah.
they started how badly they ended last year, they could probably be a fifth the
Yeah.
fifth best team on the grid.
I'm
But
not sure about fifth.
you don't think fifth?
I think they'll definitely be in the top four.
Okay.
I can't imagine. You think they could drop outside the top four?
It's hard to say because you've got
Yeah.
Liam Lawson, who's also a rookie, and if
Yeah.
he performs like Perez did last year, then there could be issues for Red Bull. But it's an interesting one because Max Verstappen loves to continually tune the car to make it more grippy at the front end.
True.
Maybe Red Bull didn't give him that during preseason testing, and they're making those adjustments in preparation for the first lap of
Yeah,
the
there's a lot of
Grand Prix.
questions to answer. I do think that it will be an improvement on 2024 in terms of speed.
Yeah.
I don't think it can get slower than 2024. Will it be quicker than the others around them? Who knows? As I say, I definitely think they'll be in the top four.
There was definitely a
Yeah,
bit of sandbagging in testing.
But as I say, I just don't think it's the friendliest.
No. Now on to my favourite segment of this video. How are Williams going to do? You know, I think this is a really exciting part of the Australian Grand Prix, and I think an exciting part of the whole season. They've got Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon, phenomenal drivers. Pre-season testing, they were really right up there in the top three pretty much every single day. And it's going to be a really, really exciting first race, and I think they could be in the top 10, both drivers.
Interesting. Yeah, I think Williams are going to be a very interesting talking point in 2025. And, you know, they've made it very clear that their focus is on the new regulations from 26 onwards. But pre-season testing says another thing.
It does.
You know, top of the timesheets on day 2, P3 on day 3. I know you can argue they're running less fuel than everyone else, but it's still mightily impressive to be there.
Also, what was it, a 9/10th improvement on their qualifying in Bahrain last year in testing, something like that? I think
it was an I can't remember the exact number, but it was an improvement. And I just think, you know, Williams looked really strong also in race simulation when there's more fuel on board. So yeah, you know, Williams looked like they could have a decent car, not a car that, you know, could challenge for wins all the time, or as much as you'd love that.
I love it.
Sainz is your favourite driver. But they look like the 5th fastest team, which is a complete shock to me. Who would have thought it?
No.
You know, I personally thought it'd be like the 2021 Haas season for Williams this year, based on how they've been talking. But wow. It looks like they've done a good job over the winter.
And they've always been rapping in a straight line. That's the thing. The thing that let them down was race simulation pace and how they took the corners and the overall lap time. But in a straight line, I think all the teams have always been in awe about kind of pace.
It is really, and if they haven't sacrificed that to have a better car this year, let's say for better aerodynamic purposes, if they've still got that straight line speed, then you know, team. I don't think they'll be really on the case of Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, and McLaren, but I think teams like Alpine, Aston Martin are going to be like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
I really think that could happen. And I think it's not just going to be on a like, they do well in one race, 5 races poor, do well in another race. I think they're going to be consistently pretty good. So yeah, there's
got to be a reason why Sainz picked Williams over a team like
And I think it's 2026 and beyond, but I think we've seen so far better than what Williams could have expected.
Completely agree.
That's what I think. And I think our final talking point is an odd one, but we thought it might be interesting to highlight, and that is what's going to happen in the pit lane. Because as we know, you've got Hamilton to Ferrari. You know, is he going to accidentally go in the Mercedes pit box at some point? You've got Verstappen so used to being number 1, is he accidentally going to go into McLaren's pit box, which is which is where they'll be number 1 now. And as I said, Verstappen so used to being number 1, he did it in Bahrain testing.
He did.
Do you think it could happen? Well, sorry, he nearly did it.
I think it'd be quite funny if Verstappen came into the pits and the McLaren pit crew just put out their wave to get him to come into get him to come.
Could you imagine they did that and he fell for it and it ruined his race?
I don't know why
that would be the biggest talking point.
I don't know why pit crew don't do that. Like they always do this thing where they come out of the pits to try and trick the other person. Why not just wave the sign and try and get people to come?
It's an interesting tactic that I've never actually thought of, but my goodness, if Max fell for something like that, that'd be the funniest thing I've ever seen. But I just think that's a funny one. Just a funny one to highlight.
Absolutely.
But those are the 5 things we're looking forward to, and we thought we'd just add on top of that, just before we get underway in Melbourne, me and Max, we went on the PlayStation and we did a lap each as to who could do the fastest time in Melbourne on the F1 2023 game. Just a bit older, but still fairly relevant. These were our times. Do you think you could beat them? Let us know in the comments below, and let us know what you're looking forward to in Melbourne. And until the next video, take care. Bye.
Bye.